Hey everybody, this is Bo Sanders, and I wanted to invite you to think through with me something that's been on my mind a lot lately, which is what do we do with symbols that have become disconnected? They're no longer connected to what they originally represented or what they were birthed out of. What do we do with signifiers that no longer point us to the thing they're supposed to be signifying or making significant? And so I want to start with Camo, and I want to end with the cross. So before I moved to LA, I was quite the outdoorsman, and I had a significant, collection of camouflage gear. But one thing that I never really got into was I had camouflage clothing, but putting camouflage on everything else has always seemed a little odd to me. In fact, where it really started for me was when my buddy got a camouflage phone case, the OtterBox for his iPhone. And I said, man, if you drop that in the woods, the last thing in the world you want is for it to be camouflage. You should put like a pink protective case on that, which never really took off with that crowd. But as I would thumb through catalogs and magazines, I noticed that you can get camouflage on anything now. On bedding, like why you need to have a camouflage bed? Don't you want to be able to find your bed, especially if it's dark? But they have hunter orange and camo bedding here. Why a toilet needs to be camo or a sink is beyond me. But one of the things that I have learned since then, because it always seemed a little quirky to me, is that camouflage, while it is designed initially to help you blend into your environment, has actually become a signifier of something else. Maybe like the tribe that you belong to, or the type of person. We get to broadcast the type of person we are by the activities that we do. And so part of the whole camouflage phenomenon has nothing to do with blending into your environment. In fact, one of the things I want to talk about in a minute is, what about when you wear camouflage either as fashion or as a statement, not so you blend into your environment, but so that you stand out and are more visible? And so what happens when it is disconnected from its original design and intended purpose? Another thing that got me thinking about this was, I was walking through the mall about 10 years ago, and I walked past, I think it was like a Spencer's Gift or something like that kind of store, and I noticed that in the window, they were selling all kinds of various t-shirts, from Jesus t-shirts to Che Guevara. There were some Bob Marley t-shirts, Danica Patrick, everything under the sun. And I thought, it's so weird to me that this store doesn't care if you buy a Jesus shirt or an angel shirt or a demon shirt or anything in between. They just want you to buy the shirt. And so as somebody who does critical theory, who does critical analysis, I think it's important that we ask the question behind the question. But that second question can often be the one that really disturbs or unsettles us. It can be the difficult one to wrestle with. Because one of the things you figure out is that every t-shirt, no matter what the logo is on the outside, the second brand that is always being reinforced is capitalism, or its ugly monster child of consumerism. Because let's say, for instance, that you figure out you can get the same t-shirt for $4 at Walmart. You can get the same Jesus t-shirt, and so you get excited, like, oh, that's such a great deal. But one of the things is, it's not just what's on the front of the shirt, which is important to us as consumers or end users, but does it make a difference at all that Jesus is in the outside of the shirt, that it's a Jesus shirt, but you can get for $4 without asking the second question, why does this shirt only cost $4? Who made this shirt, and how many of those $4 are they getting? How did this shirt even get to me for $4? It seems like maybe the cotton, the printing, the labor, and the transportation should cost more than $4. Maybe it should set off an alarm in my head as a Jesus follower that something might be off, not just by the fact that the store sells Jesus t-shirts and other questionable t-shirts, but that it's so inexpensive compared to the store down the street where I first saw it. So there's a lot going on there, and it's a conversation worth having. As long as we're talking about clothing, I want to just point out that, have you ever noticed that in future movies, it seems like we move away from individual expression and we move towards uniforms, that everyone has these kind of space age, everyone kind of wears the same thing, like we don't distinguish ourselves by our consuming fashion, logo, branding, but that everyone kind of wears a uniform outfit, it got me thinking about the nature of uniforms. One of the things that's interesting in uniforms is how they both distinguish. They have an inside and an outside purpose. They both distinguish the inside group who wears the uniform from those on the outside, so it helps us distinguish what group you belong to, that tribal identity. But the uniform to those on the inside has designations as well that helps us understand what your ranking is within the group. And this works across the board. In fact, it's one of the ways that we can distinguish between a uniform and a costume is you just ask the question, well, who else is wearing it? If you're the only one wearing it, it's probably a costume. Sorry, give me a second. This hunting gear is too hot to wear inside in Los Angeles. Sorry, I just got to get rid of this for a second. So one of the things you want to think about is what happens when you choose to wear what for someone else is a uniform, but you wear it as a costume. What's the significance of us wearing camo not in the woods? So when I see somebody pumping gas in their camo, I'm like, you're gonna get fumes or maybe campfire smoke, and animals are gonna sniff that out. Like, you can't be intending to wear that out in the woods. And then it dawned on me, this has nothing to do with blending into your environment. This is actually to broadcast what group you're a part of, who you belong to, who you're connected with. We do it with everything, from our fashion to our clothing, the way we portray ourselves, maybe even our tattoos, whatever it is, our cars, our bumper stickers. We live in a branded society, and so part of that consumerism is letting people know who we belong to and connecting in that way. We're broadcasting this. So it makes me nervous when we start wearing crosses as necklaces. We do accessories because the cross in its original form was a torture device. It was an intimidation and a horrific mechanism that the Roman government used. But for Christians, we know that one of the many crosses that the Romans put people on, they put this guy named Jesus on. And we confess, as believers, that the story doesn't end there, that cross was different than other crosses, in that God vindicated the victim by life conquering death, because the grave could not hold the life of God. And so we all have been brought into a new life relationship with God, because that which would conquer us in death has been destroyed by the life of God in Christ. And so we want to celebrate that. But what does it mean in a consumer society to then take that symbol, the cross, and have it with precious metal around it, expensive precious metal, or maybe even encrusted in precious gems? It makes me nervous that we have lost the message where Jesus said to take up your cross and follow him daily, to follow him as a cross bearer in the world. And we now, as the victors, centuries later, celebrate the cross, but in a way that might be a little ironic to the original intent of the cross. It's like wearing camo in the bedroom. So here's the thing that I would really like to just propose to you that exemplifies it to me pretty starkly, is that camouflage is intended to help our soldiers, let's say, for our armed forces, blend into their environment. But we ask our service members to wear their camo both at the airport or the mall or wherever, so that we can let them on the plane first and say thank you for your service. But there's something maybe hollow or shallow, patronizing almost about it when you start to hear the trouble that they have getting appointments at the VA, dealing with post-traumatic, transitioning back after multiple tours in these prolonged wars. There's something uncomfortable for me when we have a symbol, like camouflage, that's part of military warfare, where they, instead of blending into their environment, are paraded at the airport or the mall, not in a way so that they are harder to see, but in a way that they are made ultra visible. And there's something in our society, whether it's wearing diamond crosses or our military folks having to wear their fatigues at the mall or the airport, the way that we brand our very expensive cars with not of this world bumper stickers. There's something going on where our signifiers, our symbols, have become disconnected from their original purpose. And that's a conversation I would very much like to have in the next month. Please let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear other concerns that you would like to address. I'd really like you to participate in this conversation. Thank you for watching.